Hey everybody, it's Mark here at Gary's Guitars in Portsmouth, New Hampshire, and I'm here to talk about this, the Fender Deluxe Reverb Tonemaster Edition. Now, this is my personal amp. I own it and I use it. So, there's that. There's an endorsement of sorts right there, right off the bat. But also, this is year 4 of me having a Tonemaster. I got one of the early ones and I've been using it, and so I want to do this report card because when it came out, a lot of people were like, "Is this thing gonna last? Is it any good?" Well, let's talk about it. We're gonna talk about the pros and the cons. Let's start with some pros. It's very light. Lightweight is the part of the sales pitch. It weighs half as much as the regular deluxe reverb, but you get used to anything. And after 4 years of carrying this thing around, it just feels normal. It doesn't feel like, "Wow, this amp is so light." You just get used to anything. But it's a pro. So, it interfaces like a typical Fender amp. Volume, tone, reverb, vibrato. For me, that's great. When I'm playing music, I can't scroll through menus. I can't double click, hold this button, and press this other button. I just need everything to be right at the level I'm at, which is not being present, but not being too present in the moment. Trying to bring the magic. So, I always say this as a comparison. I remember when the Nord keyboard came around. My bandmates used to have to help me carry a Fender Rhodes to gigs, and sometimes I brought a Hammond or a Leslie to a gig. I love vintage keyboard sounds. I love their feel, and I never liked these keyboards that had 100 sounds. I would just keep scrolling through them, and I couldn't find anything I liked. And the same thing with these digital guitar amp things. You just keep scrolling through them. I love the little Mustang from Fender. It's fun. I go through all 30 sounds and then I turn it off and walk away. Some people, that's what they dig. Not for me. So, interfacing like a vintage Fender amp was a big plus for me. Yes, I'll use a digital amp. I'm not like, because I'm a tube amp snob. I have 20-something tube amps. This is my one digital amp. But it was just because I love the sound. So let's talk about the sound. What's the difference in the sound of this amp and the sound of the Tube Deluxe Reverb? I've had them side by side. They are not exactly the same. I kind of like this one better. Now I'll say this, and this is a little sacrilegious. I have a lot of Fender amps. I got a Bassman, I got a Bandmaster, I got a Pro Reverb, I got the Pro Junior. I've got a lot of Fender amps. Champs. I got 2 Champs. I got a Princeton. The Deluxe was the one I never bought. And it's just something about the Deluxe that just wasn't, it's just different. I think it's because it has the 6v6 output tubes, but it's the highest wattage 6v6 Fender amp. And to do that has something to do with the size of the output transformer and it's just the design is different than a Princeton, although they have essentially the same parts in them. So I wasn't a big fan, so that kind of opened the door to me getting the Tonemaster version of this. Now, the regular Deluxe Reverb has this very pronounced mid-range that has a little bit of that warm, fuzzy reverb, but tricks your ear into thinking it's clean. It's the trick. It is distortion. Distortion is what we love, and that's what we call warmth, is what actually distortion. And they, put them into these digital amps as well. But it came out different. This amp is more full range than the regular Deluxe. It has a little more lows and a little more highs, and I like that. In most circumstances, especially with the fact that I do some keyboard, some Nord keyboard third as well. You can bring the organ. The whole organ can be compact, easy to get in and out, and still have the low end intact. I like that. And then I like the fact that it has a little more twinkle on the high end. As every once in a while I'll be playing and digging a tone. I'm like, oh, that's the Tonemaster I'm playing through. That's right, because I would assume if I'm having a great tone night or a great tone event in the studio, you think like, ooh, I must be playing through the Princeton. No. So I enjoy its playability. I enjoy the interface. I don't like things that have too many choices. I never bonded with any of the Fractal or any of those other things, or the Fender Tonemaster, you know, the pedal thing that, you know, does everything. I don't want to do everything. I want to do what I do, and I want to do it well. So now maybe it's time to talk about the cons. So if you're a lover of the deluxe reverb, this amp might not be for you because it's a little more, it's slightly a little more like a twin than a deluxe reverb. It's like a little twin, and I like that. The Tonemaster Twin sounds like a twin because the twin's thing is being, you know, loud enough to peel the paint off the walls, stay bright and clean longer in the volume swing. And so when you have a Princeton on 5, it does not sound light and clean. But when you have when a twin on 5, it, you know, it still bites at the clean bite. So that, and they do have a world of Tonemaster amps, and I'm just talking about the deluxe today. But that's a con. If you want this to sound exactly like a deluxe, it won't necessarily do that. The reverb, spring reverb is just different. It's good, but it's still not the same. I've gotten... Digital reverb has gotten better, and I've gotten more accepting of it over time. So we'll call that one a draw, maybe. But you might be disappointed by the reverb. Super lightweight, I mentioned that. That doesn't disappoint anyone. Has the XLR out with a speaker simulator, just convenient. The other cons are, well, that it's not the deluxe, but also that it's gone up in price. It used to be an $800 amp, or, you know, when it came out, $899, I think, and that seemed like a lot of money for what it was. Now it's $1,500, $1,500, I think. You know, it's a bunch more money. It gets to the point where you gotta wonder, do I want to spend all this money on this thing? So there's a con, and here's the biggest con. I'm sorry I saved it for later in the video, but I didn't want to overemphasize it. We had a customer. Now, if we ever work on a Rumble, which is essentially the same kind of thing, all digital Class D amplifier, or a Tonemaster, if they ever come to the shop for repair, it's usually some kind of neglect. Some, you know, a jack got broken, the power thing got broken, a speaker got blown. Most problems we can solve right here in the shop, and they don't come in for repair much. So a lot of people are like, who's going to work on these things when they break, and how are you going to work on it? Well, 80%, maybe 90% of the problems that approach us with these amps, and this has been maintenance free for me, knock on wood. There's wood over here, I'm knocking on it. But we did have one customer who had a Princeton reverb, and it had a gremlin. He's like, well, this thing just turns itself up and down once in a while, and I don't know why, and I can't figure out what's causing it. And we're like, well, you know, there's effects loop jack maybe in there, or, you know, let's clean some contacts and check some connections, and we should have it straightened out. And so we did that kind of, you know, that's the thing when amps turn themselves up and down. That's usually the thing, somewhere in the signal chains, having some intermittent problems. But that didn't fix it. We couldn't make it happen in the store when we were working on it. But everyone's he'd be like, oh, "You think I'm crazy?" But it's true. And so this amp was not that old at the time. It was less. It was in the warranty period. So I contacted Fender and I was like, "Hey, we got this warranty repair thing to do. Regular customer bought this amp here. Says, you know, we believe him." And so basically, my thought is you replace the main board. That's what you do in these kind of things. You don't really like try to swap out power amp chips or something. And they're like, we don't have the parts for this. And I was like, what? And the Fender service guy was like, yeah, we can't repair these. This one is under warranty still, so we'll give them another one. And they did. And so that great on Fender for coming through and warrantying their warranty. But I don't like the idea that they don't have the parts on hand to fix these. Now, is this a supply chain, you know, problem that, you know, that's going to get resolved? Let's hope so. Because these things will eventually break, and we will have to do so. And a lot of people's argument is like, what do you do when it breaks? You throw it out. I don't want another thing that's so complicated, can't be fixed, you know. And the vintage Fender style amps, you know, the hand wired type, you know, with the that kind of generic board down the middle that are point-to-point wired, There is nothing on those that can't be fixed. They're now entering their 80th decade, I guess. 80th. It'd be 8th decade, 80th year. And great. Infinitely repairable. And most things aren't like that. And that's just the world that we live in. So, the pros and cons of the Tonemaster. I still say yes to the Tonemaster. I'm still using this at shows. It's convenient, and it delivers a sound that you can't argue with. People like the sound of it. It's a great interface. It was a great value for me because I bought it at that price. It's got the look and feel of a Fender amp. I like that. The cons, the price has gone up, and who knows what the future is still. Even in year 4, if this thing stopped working tomorrow, I'd be fine with it. Oh well, I got my use out of it. It won't. And if you're wondering about the future of them, tune in next year for year 5 report card on the Fender Tonemaster. Thanks to everybody for watching. Please check out all the other videos here on YouTube. There are hundreds of them. One time someone was like, hey, why don't you make more videos? I was like, I have hundreds of videos. And really? I guess if you watch on your TV, the interface might not show you the whole channel. It might just pop up as a recommendation. But check all that stuff out. Instagram, Facebook, say hi. And we'll talk to you soon.